psychotherapy, and in these countries, if laws are going to be made about it, it's usually a health ministry which has a biased opinion to begin with. So in classifying psychotherapy as being part of the medical model, a health or mental health treatment, we realize I want to put forward the fact that it is not. It is not just another branch of medicine or a health or mental health treatment. Um, Psychotherapy's got really nothing to do with mental illness, only a little to do with mental health, and much more to do with the restoration of well-being. Can you scroll down as we go? It is worth noting that the professional competencies of a psychotherapist, as listed in the International Standard Classification of Occupations, is a subset of a subset within the classification of a psychologist. And psychologists are listed, first of all, within legal, social, and cultural professions, and then social and religious professionals rather than in the health professionals. And in Europe, we have now clearly established that a psychotherapist has a significantly different set of core competencies from a psychologist. Can you scroll up a little bit, please? Um, and is therefore distinct professionally and has many and legal and educational implications. So I quote can you scroll up a bit, please? Can you scroll up a bit, please? There we are. Now we're getting there. I'm just about to read that paragraph. Psychotherapists assist and treat healthcare users with various degrees of psychological, psychosocial, and psychosomatic behavioral disorders and pathogenic conditions, etc. I want to emphasize the bottom line is that psychotherapists are not required now to have academic degrees in psychology or medical degrees in qualification in psychiatry. It is stated as an independent occupation from psychology, psychiatry, and counseling. And this is a major step for the to where psychotherapy fits as a profession. Um, the ISCO and the ESCO classifications get adjusted every 20 years. So we hope that in 2028 we will have a much clearer distinction between psychotherapy and psychology. And our rationale for developing that 3-year project to establish the professional core competences of European psychotherapists. Scroll up, please. For a fuller description of these professional competencies, you can go to the website Psychotherapy Competence EU. We're going to need to scroll up more. The founding of the European Association of Psychotherapy in 1990 with the Strasbourg Declaration and subsequently the World Council for Psychotherapy all declare that psychotherapy is an independent profession. And there's a box there which describes, again, if you scroll up, thank you. Can I do this? No. There's a box there that describes the Strasbourg Declaration of Psychotherapy. I can't have any control over. Oh yes, there we go. Scroll down a bit. Scroll down. Can I scroll down a bit? No, you have to. So EAP defines psychotherapy as the practice of psychotherapy as the comprehensive, conscious, and planned treatment of psychosocial, psychosomatic, and behavioral disturbances. Again, can you scroll up, please? Or the states of suffering with scientific psychotherapeutic methods. Thank you. through an interaction between one or more persons being treated. This is a little bit pedantic and boring, but it's just wanting to clarify that the independent practice of psychotherapy is not part of a healthcare system, though it may well be part of a mental health care system. Um, Psychotherapy is not just an adjunct to medicine or psychiatry. Psychotherapists now usually have a first degree followed by professional, highly specialized theoretical and clinical training of about 4 years, which includes research methodology and continuing professional development. That puts it at a master's degree level. The European Association, scroll up, please. The European Association has representation in 41 different countries. Can you scroll up, please? A little bit more, please. Thank you. EAP has represented in 41 different European countries, but unfortunately, at the moment, nearly every country treats the profession and practice of psychotherapy differently. Austria, Malta, and the UK have the widest acceptance of the multiplicity of different psychotherapy modalities. Hungary recognizes 19 different psychotherapeutic methods, but some European countries restrict the practice of psychotherapy to just 4 or 5 distinct methods, usually psychodynamic, systemic, cognitive behavioral therapy, and Gestalt. There's a paper and a reference. If you get a copy of this presentation, you can follow the reference down. The ESCO definition, the European Standard Classification of Occupations, lists a number of different types of psychotherapy based on our submission. Um, and those are, if you scroll up a bit, please, on the screen, you can see more. Scroll up there. Thank you. You can see all those different titles, and that's only half of it. Um, in the various countries that have passed laws to regulate psychotherapy, these laws tend to be restrictive, and there have been a few successful legal challenges where the European law trumps the national law. And I give a footnote there to the Lanthala case, which successfully allowed a qualified psychotherapist to move, who had trained in Austria, to move to work in Italy, which had rules that didn't allow someone with a social work degree to practice psychotherapy. So we're still moving through a whole mismatch of regulations and different conditions. None of this relates to psychotherapy as a medical treatment. A medical treatment is defined as the care provided by a healthcare professional to help improve, cure, or relieve illness, injury, or disease. And it encompasses diagnosis, management, and treatment. But that's within a medical healthcare condition. The closest that psychotherapy comes to such a treatment concept is cognitive behavioral therapy. Again, scroll up a bit, please, and its various spin-offs. But I contend that CBT is not a proper psychotherapy. It may well be psychotherapeutic, but it does not engage. It may be therapeutic, but it does not engage with the person's psyche. It does not see itself as a psychotherapy. And no CBT associations have joined either psychology or psychotherapy professional associations. It maintains its scientific because it uses randomized controlled trials, but these are totally unsuitable to assess the efficacy of a psychotherapy. as there are many too many variables, and CBT, again, scroll up again, please, does not really concern itself with the psychotherapeutic relationship, which is traditionally seen as the most significant factor in the efficacy of a psychotherapy. Scroll up again, please. Thank you. We need to create a divorce or separation between psychotherapy and medical treatments, in the same way that medicine has divorced itself from the medieval barber surgeons and quack doctors selling their own potions. This divorce will happen sometime, at least in Europe, given the strength of the European Union and its major principle of the free movement of labour. I go into a technical bit about the European Union identifying or recognizing the qualifications of certain professions, and others are regulated by a common training framework. Our experience of the European Union is that it will stick its feet in the ground at every possible opportunity, and it takes a very long time for anything significant to happen. So we're still struggling to get the European Certificate of Psychotherapy recognized as a common training framework in psychotherapy, or for there to be a psychotherapy act. Again, you're going to have to scroll up a bit, otherwise I'm ahead of your screen. Please. Thank you. More, 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 more. More, 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 more. Lovely. Okay, so the profession of psychotherapy, for the profession of mental health for both adults and children, is becoming much better defined and established, and it includes psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists and counselors, clinical social workers, marriage and family therapists, psychiatric and community nurses, occupational therapists, and specialist art, music, and drama therapists and peer support workers. We therefore have a whole cohort of professionals who are not medically qualified or medically involved. Only a very few, like psychiatrists, have that medical qualification. And we therefore need to start to move the whole of psychotherapy as a cohort away from the medical professions, more into the health and social professions. My second point is that psychotherapy is much more of a revolutionary, soft revolutionary psychosocial exploration than a medical treatment. We are not treating any specific illness or disease, but we are helping people overcome their life difficulties and to cope better with their reactions to these, anxiety, depression, etc., so as to be able to lead a better, happier life. So psychotherapy is nowadays thought of as a fairly loosely structured verbal interaction between a therapist and client, which is modeled perhaps more on not a doctor-patient relationship, but a lawyer-client relationship. You go to lawyers saying, I want to write my will, and they say what you want to put into it, and it's a much more of a dialogue rather than being told what's wrong with you. Um, I do a little bit of history. I realize I've only got 20 minutes, so I'm going to speed on a bit. Um, since World War II, nearly all societies have metamorphosed into something that's radically different than before. And therefore, psychotherapy has also gone through something of a social revolution that addresses the emotional and psychological well-being. Again, it would be nice if you scrolled up a bit and tried to keep track with me. Um, can you scroll up a bit, please? More, 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 more. One more. That's it. Um, It has evolved from a marginal treatment option into a central modality in contemporary Western social and mental health services. And the evolution of psychotherapy reflects humanity's growing understanding of what contributes to mental health and well-being with innovative therapy techniques and research-based interventions, making mental health care much more personalized, inclusive, and efficient. The future looks promising, offering hope and healing to millions worldwide, and my God, we need it. And by embracing these innovations, mental health professionals can provide better support, and individuals can access much more tailored, effective, and stigma-free therapy solutions. I don't know what it's like in your country, but in the UK and in America, mental health almost still has a pariah status. And if a family has a member who is in hospital or being treated by a psychiatrist, this is almost looked on similarly to whether they have a plague or smallpox or something. Um, Again, scroll up again, please. Pharmacological treatments for people with mental health difficulties do not provide any solutions. They just treat symptoms. And now it is easier for someone with a different mental health issue to manage their condition for a time. But the problems and the underlying source of the problems are not being addressed properly. Big Pharma does not provide a cure. Again, scroll up again, please. Thank you, a bit more lovely. So times are changing rapidly and psychotherapy is having to evolve. And since the various wars in the 20th and 21st century, there's been a growing recognition of the impact of trauma and the development of trauma-informed psychotherapeutic approaches from people such as Bessel van der Kolk, Pat Ogden, Judith Herman, and Gabor Mate. The last 30 years have also seen a growing interest in the integration of Eastern and Western approaches to psychotherapy, particularly the influence of Buddhist psychology, mindfulness, and meditational practices. The 1990s and 2000s saw the continued growth and diversification of the field of psychotherapy with the emergence of new modalities and the integration of psychotherapy with other disciplines such as neuroscience and evolutionary psychology. And I think the previous lecturer before the last one was fascinating in integrating technology and neuroscience with psychology. The rise of evidence-based practice and the emphasis on accountability and cost effectiveness in healthcare also have a significant impact on the field, leading to the growing focus of the development and validation of standardized treatment protocols and outcome measures. At the same time, there's also been a growing recognition of the importance of cultural concepts, competence and awareness, and the need to adapt psychotherapy to the unique needs and experiences of diverse populations. Much psychotherapeutic work is now being done in the field with refugees and displaced persons, be it from war, invasion, insurrection, or from earthquake, drought, fires, famine, and floods. Again, can you scroll up again? There are ongoing challenges and opportunities in the continuing evolution of psychotherapy in response to the massively changing social, cultural, and technological landscapes. And we have seen the impact of technology and social media on the delivery and practice of psychotherapy. We have also seen political and economic attempts to get people back into work, with the UK's 2018 Improving Access to Psychological Therapies. This I find very difficult. Yes, people do need help to get back to work, It's great if they can get back to work, but they shouldn't be required to have therapy in order to get back to work. As psychotherapy continues to evolve, we've seen one major challenge being the COVID pandemic and other global stressors like armed terrorism, political insurrection, large industrial accidents, global warming, and extreme weather events. People need help when confronted with this. This is outside of the norm. And so we need to develop new and innovative approaches to prevent and intervene early and to treat some of these situations. And in this context, psychotherapy becomes more revolutionary, politically and socially. Can you scroll up a bit more, please? Nowadays, as well as the multiplicity of about 500 identified psychotherapy modalities, can you scroll up a bit, please? Can you please scroll up a bit? I don't know what's happening. It suddenly changed. I'll continue. At the same time, ongoing advances in neuroscience, technology, and other fields offer exciting opportunities for understanding expanding our understanding of the mind and developing more targeted and effective interventions, though we must be cautious with the development of AI. And as the field of psychotherapy continues to grow and evolve, it will become increasingly important to balance innovations with rigorous research, ethical practice, and a general commitment to the well-being of individuals and communities. Thus, I maintain that psychotherapy is moving away from the medical model and becoming much more of a soft, revolutionary psychosocial exploration. That brings me, and unfortunately, you can't see it, but that brings me to the end of my talk. I don't know if there's any time for any questions or anything like that.